it would, like, they couldn't even fight. He would just throw him, I think. It's like, I don't think it would
He'd just
be fair.
punching his kneecaps.
You know, actually, fuck that. I actually want that movie now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've talked myself into it.
Sweet Christmas.
Shout out to my birds.
Hello. This is Che.
This is Cory.
And this is the Next Time On podcast, a podcast where two lifelong friends discuss all things amazing and all things founded in popular culture. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is like if Derek Palmer and Chris Smalls had decided, instead of using their ingenuity and charm to take on supervillain Jeff Bezos, they decided to talk about supervillains on a genius and charming podcast instead. Is that fair, Cory?
100% correct.
I got it in take two. Take one was rough.
There you go.
Listeners will never hear that, but take two was good.
No, they should listen to that. I think you should keep all of that,
I'm
like,
not
what
kidding.
just happened.
There's no fucking way that's seeing the light of day. I think I had a fucking breakdown. Which one of us is Derek Palmer? Which one of us is Chris Smalls?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for it. That's a good question. Sorry, guys. Our brain's broken. This is our first podcast recording in the new year, but also this is what happens when we record 3 podcasts in a week. We kind of just slowly deteriorate. Oh my God, seriously, God damn.
I have essentially, in the last week, spent about 70 hours working on these 3 podcast episodes. So when it's all done, I'm going to be very happy. Let's get the business done first. So, as usual, don't forget to subscribe to us on all your preferred podcast platforms. We're all over the place. If you're listening to us now, there's some way to subscribe to this so you can keep listening to it, and that'll really help us out. Also, don't forget to share, and you can follow us at Next Time On Pod on all social media platforms. And last but not least, don't forget, if you're on the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. If you're not on the YouTube channel, scroll down, check out the link in the description. We've got good stuff going on, especially these last few episodes have been very visual experiences, and I think the YouTube video really helps them out. Or helps out the enjoyment. So it's definitely worth a follow.
I think so too.
We've got big plans for some video exclusive stuff in the new year. So go over there, subscribe, all that good shit. Let's do it, Cory. We got a long episode ahead of us, I'm sure, because I am a psychopath and I love to talk about movies. So let's just jump into it. Let's start with first of all, for those of you who have not checked out the rest of the end of year lists, go do that. But if you haven't, we always start with the worst. So we're going to start with the worst movies of the year. I will jump in first because my list is a bit longer than Cory's, and I want to save his last one till the end so we can talk about this. Mostly this year, despite what you will hear from many people, and I've had the same conversation with a number of my relatives over the last few days, was a great year for movies, I think. It's not 2007. It's not 2019. Don't get it twisted. But I'm looking at my list, my grand list of movies that I saw this year in the year 2022, that were released in the year 2022. And of the 67 movies I currently have ranked, I would say up to 36 are like good, like pretty good to decent. You want to take a guess at what number 37 is, Cory? What the line for bad is? The best bad movie of the year?
Is it Don't Worry, Darling?
No, Don't Worry, Darling. I have lower.
Gotcha.
No, it is the film Amsterdam, which was strange, just weird.
That's
and bad.
all I've heard about it. Was just like everyone who watched it, I've got mostly like either that sucked or it was just like, I think I watched it.
But despite the fact that there were a lot of really good movies this year, there was a lot of really bad. So I'm just going to start with some of the true garbage that I watched this year, including, and apologies to the great man because I absolutely love him, but the Peter Dinklage vehicle, Cyrano, which you guys will be thinking, wasn't that nominated for a Golden Globe? And the answer is yes, but the question is why? I don't understand. There's nothing good about this movie.
I've never seen a trailer make me not want to watch a movie as much as the trailer for Cyrano did. It just, like, I would dread it every time it came up. That's just kind of how, like, you would guarantee me not to watch a film. It's like how bad your trailer is. Like, it just annoyed me that how many times I've seen that movie. I'm like, yeah, I get it, whatever.
That is
blah, blah, blah.
the bad side of my don't watch trailers rule. And like, because Peter Dinklage was in this, because I like Haley Bennett, who was his co-star in this. And I even like, I think it would be a stretch to say I like the director Joe Wright, but he's made some movies that I think are good. Actually, that's not true. I do love The Darkest Hour, so I would go so far as to say I like Joe Wright too. So I just planned to see this movie, didn't watch the trailer, went in blind, and about 30 minutes into this 2-hour slog, I was like, oh boy, I need to change the way I live my life. It is a rough hang.
I like to call that the free guy syndrome. Free guy conundrum.
I still need to we need to do some free guy content on this podcast.
No. Absolutely not.
A movie that was worse than Free Guy, and I'm surprised that Corey doesn't hate more than Free Guy. Next up is Death on the Nile.
See, I think if the fact it was just a mystery, I think that's the only reason I survived Death on the Nile. It was,
but isn't that worse though? Because like a video game movie's not going to be good. A mystery could be good. But we have some mysteries on our list this year.
I mean, I think the story was good. But I think it's because it's a book. But I think like the movie itself was bad, and also it has the most insane horny dance scene I've ever seen in my life. And I think about that dance scene a lot, where there's basically
to be
fucking
fair,
on the floor.
Plot-wise, nonsensical, but
yeah,
I did enjoy it.
It probably was the best part of the film.
It's the only part of the film that I will be rewatching.
I just like that film scene just makes no sense. I'm like, why is he even at this club? Like, what's going on here? Why is everyone at this club going to be involved? It's just a lot of things happening at once, and I'm like, this is all just a weird coincidence that we're all watching right now.
Yeah. It also didn't help the movie that was like peak Armie Hammer baggage.
I rewatched Man from U.N.C.L.E. recently. That movie still fucking rocks.
Still bangs.
You piece of shit. How dare you prevent me from just get another Russian guy. It's fine.
I did hear recently, and I don't know which part he was going to be, but I heard that originally Tom Cruise was cast in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I think would have been horrible, right? I mean, I like Tom Cruise, but he just can't do that.
No, you gotta, no, I'm assuming that'd be Henry Cavill.
I mean, I guess, but then like the whole point of Henry Cavill's character is he's like this giant imposing monster.
And then there's another person
4'1".
And that thing might have made the height difference. Even with Henry Cavill, it's just like fucking Armie Hammer's like another couple inches taller.
It is true. At least if they had cast Tom Cruise in that movie, we wouldn't have been able to have Armie Hammer, because there's no way Tom Cruise would ever start next to Armie Hammer. No, the height difference is like this.
It would, like, they couldn't even fight. He would just throw him. I think it's like, I don't think it would be fair.
Punching his kneecaps.
You know, actually, fuck that. I actually want that movie now.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked myself into it. All right, I'll blaze through these next two because I just want to talk about the last one on my list. Next up, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the meme of the year, which is It's Morbin Time.
I cannot believe you've seen this movie.
In theaters, Corey. In theaters.
Jesus Christ.
We talked about it before, and we will talk about it again, because for some reason it continues to get work, but I don't understand why anybody would want Jared Leto in their movies. I don't know. I don't understand Sony's mindset with any of this, but I will say this, though. The end of that movie is the post-credit scene. One of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. It's genuinely art in a way.
It's genuinely amazing.
It's like absurdism at its peak.
I don't know. I think it's Spider-Man or something. I'm just going to blame all my problems with that. Just forever now.
I've never seen a scene. And I get actor schedules are tough. Sometimes you got to finagle a bit. One of my favorite shows from last year that we talked about, go check out the podcast plugging that, Rami, had a few scenes that were clearly, they had to shoot around May Kalawi's schedule, and she's not in the actual scene with people. But I've never seen a scene that's more clear that two actors are not even like on the same continent as each other, and that after credit scene of Morbius.
Michael Keaton wasn't even. He just did a voice. He wasn't even there. Yeah. He just he didn't do anything. It was one take for like 30 seconds.
So good, so fucking great. I love this.
I don't know. I think it's Spider-Man or something. It's like just really like this is how lazy we're gonna be with things. Are we going to get a Morbius 2? I think we're going to get a Morbius 2, and I think it's going to piss me off the fact that we're getting a Morbius 2.
I don't know if we're going to get Morbius 2, but we are definitely getting the Sinister Six movie because, like, for some reason, Sony thinks they're pot committed or some reason.
Listen, at this point, I'm not saying definite for anything, so who fucking knows what's going to happen? I genuinely hope it doesn't happen. The only reason I would want it to happen is if we get...
To be honest.
If we can somehow get Andrew Garfield to be in the film, I'm about it. But other than that, I don't even know what the fuck a Sinister Six movie would be. You already saw that shit with the most recent Spider-Man movie.
I have no answers to any of your questions, Corey, but I will be watching that movie in theaters when it comes out because I'm crazy.
You are a sick fuck.
Penultimate movie on my list that I was pretty confident going into the quarter of the year that this was going to close out my year as the worst movie of 2022. That is Michael Bay's Ambulance, starring two actors I genuinely think are like incredible, Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen. But it is like, as far as like preposterous action movies go, and there are some preposterous action movies this year that were great. One that that didn't quite make either of our lists was Bullet Train, which is like the most fun I've had in theaters this year. I love a dumb action movie. This is.
I think you texted me being upset with me for not warning you about it.
Okay, so this is like as blind as I've gone into a movie in a long time, where I just knew Jake Gyllenhaal was in an action movie and I didn't know anything else about it. If it was a Michael Bay movie, I probably wouldn't have gone to see it. Maybe I still would have, because I do really, like I said, I love Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen. But I came into this movie, and then the opening credits goes directed by Michael Bay, and fuck me. It's over. It's a wrap for your guy. and it was. This is 2 hours and 16 minutes of two niggas driving around in an ambulance. That's the whole movie.
I cannot believe it's that long. Why is it that long? It could be 60 minutes, honestly.
It could have been 3 minutes. And I still would have hated it.
I saw the trailer. I know exactly what happens to the entire film. They gave everything away, and I'm like, that was bad. And I didn't need to see more of it. And I think you were like, I'm going to see Ambulance. I think I asked you why. And then you were like, you didn't tell me Michael Bay was directing this. And I'm like, that is your own fault.
It isn't.
Genuinely
I'm
your own fault.
blaming nobody but myself and Michael Bay for me having seen this trash.
That's fine. We can always blame Michael Bay for everything. But was there any weird sexual tension with an underage girl in this movie?
No, because there's only 3 people in the movie, so we couldn't even fit a child.
Listen. That's great. Honestly, listen, it's doing a lot better than most of his other films.
I mean, that's such a low bar.
It's such a low bar.
Michael, get your shit together. Corey.
Get your life together.
What is your second to last worst movie of the year? We have to save the coup d'etat.
We do. And I think we already talked about, I think both of us already had talked about this in an episode beforehand, but don't worry, darling. You know what? Just a bad film. Just all around. It looked nice, and Florence put in a good performance. But other than that, that movie fucking was bad.
Florence Pugh, who genuinely had a great year. The Wonder, another movie that won't quite make our discussion today. I thought her performance was incredible. Florence Pugh is just one of the best, as I said over and over again. And I think there is a version of this movie that doesn't have Pugh in it that is one of the worst movies of all time. Absolutely. And she basically drags it on her shoulders to something that is a D-. Guys, I've read the script out of hold on. So I was gonna say, Corey gives me shit for going to the theater to see Morbius. It's Morbin time, and
that's a
Michael Bay's
you paid Ambulance. For that. You paid for that though. That's money and time.
Okay,
it took me 45 minutes. It took me 45 minutes to want to read that fucking script.
Ladies and gentlemen, please tweet at us and tell us which is more psychotic behavior. Reading the script of Don't Worry, Darling after having seen the movie and knowing what the movie is. I was going to curious. See Morbius.
And holy shit, guys, the film was somehow better than what they gave. Because holy shit, that script was fucking dog shit. And I was like, I don't understand how it got from that to being we can fix this. I'm like, no, there was nothing there in the first place. And it sucked already.
I kind of understand in theory why one would read the script or read a treatment of the script, not the script itself, but read a treatment of the script and think this is a great movie for 2022. It is thematically very similar to a lot of great movies that came out this year that are about the way that men have systematically oppressed women and have created these worlds for them that they stick them in, and this one's literally about that. I think there is a version of this thing that is actually a good movie. It needs an entirely different script from top to bottom, and basically needs to shoot Harry Styles into a different universe because he's so bad.
I think you're very right. I think honestly the movie could be fixed. Yeah, just you got to have a whole new story, get rid of Harry Styles. But I mean the backdrop was cool, the trailer was actually pretty awesome. It is just bad.
It doesn't help that it's maybe the worst twist in a movie ever.
It was so bad. The worst
twist ever?
It somehow was worse than the original script. But it's the same thing though. Same exact vibe, but worse.
And I hope that I didn't follow the whole like debacle around this movie, but I hope the quality plus the debacle, whatever that may be, doesn't affect Olivia Wilde's directorial career, because I think she's really good. I love Booksmart. I think Booksmart's really good. There's parts of this movie that are shot really well.
Yeah.
But
I don't think necessarily. I think she'll be fine. I think if anything, everyone was just like, that movie was stupid, and I think that's the biggest part about it that really stuck out to me. And Harry Styles fucking sucked.
Yeah. I think you can survive bad movies. Obviously, there's many people who have made bad movies and gone on to make great movies, and vice versa. But I think the problem with Don't Worry Darling, the reason I think it might hurt Wilde more than just a regular bomb, is because it was like a legendary bad movie. Like, it became a joke on the internet how stupid Don't Worry Darling was. And then again, I say that, and it's the same for Morbius, and Jared Leto will for sure be in a movie in 2023. I don't know what it's going to be, but for some reason, he's like a fucking plague we can't get rid of.
Just like... Shay, shall we talk about our...
Everyone knows what this movie is, but...
I wanted to get him to talk about it for an episode, but he kept on putting it away, and I finally got you on air to talk about the incredible superhero debut of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Black Adam.
I mean, you say debut, but this is probably the last time we see.
Oh yeah, no, he's gone.
Right?
No, he's done. He's fucking gone. The Black Adam's gone. I think in the nicest way.
That's a good point. Who squandered their cachet more in the year 2022? Olivia Wilde with "Don't Worry, Darling" or The Rock with Black Adam?
I think The Rock with Black Adam, because he's been trying to make this movie for nearly 20 years.
It's also the first time that like. I personally, like, I'm not like, I don't really get celebrity worship. Like, I do. I understand it. You want to idolize these people, whatever. I find it weird when people get really upset that people like celebrities. I do think this was the first time I ever thought to myself, does The Rock suck? Like, is he like,
agreed?
Is he like a shit guy?
It was just like, oh my God. Like, I just watched someone's ego get stroked for 2 hours and it was fucking horrible.
Yeah. And I think that, in a vacuum, this movie is terrible, obviously. Yeah, but
absolutely.
If you are aware of the DC canon surrounding this character and Shazam and so on and so forth, it's even worse somehow.
It's just because it's like there's so many things, like the fact that Shazam wasn't even mentioned in this movie, or like at like an
which is weird because it's not like the Sinister Six movie or the Venom movie where they don't like have the rights to it in a weird way.
Yeah, and they even
have Shazam rights.
They even they even have the fucking wizard, and it's like they have everything. They like you have similar characters, you have same characters. Hell, there's even a reference to The Rock in the first Shazam movie. It's just never goes back around though.
Well, I watched this with my family, and
I'm sorry.
Listen, they picked it. I didn't fucking choose it. It's their fault, actually. But I watched it with them, and they were all very confused in the beginning of the movie where The Rock is saying Shazam to transform. Because it's not actually, like, if you're not a fucking DC head or, like, have the Shazam movie stored in the back of your head like we do, it's not super clear why the fuck he's saying Shazam to transform. Yeah,
like, it's... Like, you could have had some kind of reference to it, or at least, like, a little bit or some shit like that. I don't know. I think it would be more interesting if fucking, like, if Shazam was in this movie. That could have made, like, just have a Black Adam movie.
It certainly couldn't have made it worse. It could not have made it worse.
Because it just sucked. And it's, like, I mean, there were so many reasons it sucked. Like, the entire choice to have that kid, the kid point of view character, was one of the dumbest.
We were done with that script structure. Like, I thought we were done with that.
It's horrible. It was so dumb.
One of your honorable mentions is, I'm teasing a little bit, is Prey, which I think is like an incredible improvement on Shane Black's Predator. And a big reason why Shane Black's Predator from 2018 is so terrible is because they do this exact same thing. The movie's like about some kid that we don't give a fuck about. Like
I don't give a fuck about some random ass kid, and then like it's like that thing. They was like, this clearly they wanted to be like The Rock's Black Panther, and like this it's so much stupidity put together. And it's also like, oh wait, we had Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, who was pretty good, and Pierce Brosnan and Dr. Fate, also cool.
Oh, the Dr. Fate thing it actually annoys me though, because like
it does annoy me.
Waste of a great.
What a character. Waste! And he even looked great too. It's just like, all right,
it's the only part of this movie that's visually interesting is Dr. Fate, and they just squander him. Okay, like, but I mean, you named I think the only two people and things in this movie that are good. We're shitting on The Rock. He is bad, obviously, and a lot of this movie is like rests on his head, but. I think without a doubt the worst person in this movie is Noah Centineo, right?
Wait, who does he play?
He's the Atom Smasher.
Oh yeah, what the fuck was that character? Well, I gotta say, the kid is still the worst part about the film.
Yes, but the worst actor, the worst performance.
I just gotta say though, when he was sneaking away from the fucking soldiers, Che, why did he get on the loud skateboard? It made no sense.
I mean, the movie doesn't make any sense. They didn't think this.
So stupid.
They really
like why? Okay, if they know where you live and they're hunting you, why would you go back to your fucking apartment? The stupidest decision of.
So, I was checking really quick to see if we're getting a Rock movie in 2023, and it looks like maybe not. But this being the last movie he does for like a calendar year, is what it looks like right now, is bad for the brand. Now, The Rock's brand is like bulletproof in a lot of ways. He's going to sell his tequila company for like $1 billion, so he's fine. The Rock does not give a shit about our opinion on this podcast, but I've never had it, so I can't speak to it.
It's bad.
Is it? It doesn't really surprise me, but I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about Black Adam before we move on?
No, it's just I want to say it was a disappointment, but I figured it was going to be shit anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like somehow it was even worse than what I thought it was going to be.
It is actually disappointing because I thought it was going to be bad in like a DC movie way. Actually, before we move on, is this the worst DCEU movie?
No, Suicide Squad exists.
Is it worse than Suicide Squad?
No, Suicide Squad's much worse as a film. If you've got a gun to my head, you gotta watch one of these movies, I will watch Black Adam 1,000,000 times before I would watch Suicide Squad again. I
have to go back and revisit it, but I remember at the time, the movie that made me the most viscerally angry was Wonder Woman 84.
Actually, you're right, that was really bad.
Because Wonder Woman's good.
Yeah.
And and 84 is so terrible, but also it came as it was like the first thing in the pandemic, and I was like, I just need a good movie. I need it so bad. So maybe it's not the movie's fault that I hate it as much as I did, but it's definitely.
But I mean, that's exactly. That's the Free Guy dilemma. It's like, is it Free Guy the worst movie of all time? No, but you found it when you didn't want it, and that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah,
I have to say those are probably the vying for the last place though. Black Adam, Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman 84 are, and still DC has made DCEU has made what 2 good movies. We're like 2.5. It is a struggle out there.
I mean, there's a reason. The reason it's just getting blown up right now and just restarted. So
Yeah. I mean, and I hope James Gunn really figures this out, because it is dire over at. I have to keep saying DCEU because it's a bit of a spoiler, but we both have a DC movie on our list, and I thought that movie was fantastic. But it is like one of the movies that's siloed away from all this bullshit, and I think that's part of why it was a success. But
I blame it. Like, it all starts with Zack Snyder. It's all his fault. We can always look back, and it was Zack Snyder's fault.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, again, Zack Snyder, as we've talked about on this podcast, seems like, unlike Michael Bay, like a relatively nice guy.
Yeah, seems like a nice dude.
He does not make good movies.
Nope.
But we're done. We're done talking about bad movies. Let's talk about
some good movies,
because like I said, this was a great year for movies. Corey, you want to kick off the honorable mentions list?
Yeah, I'll run through mine pretty quickly. Yeah. My first one is, as Che mentioned, Prey, a follow-up, super late sequel to Predator. I don't know if it's just a solid action movie.
Besides having a Predator in it, not related to the Shane Black one. If you haven't seen Prey, you don't need to go watch the Shane Black one.
You don't need to see any of them, honestly. Yeah.
Although you should watch Predators, because I still fuck with Predators heavy.
Predator 2 and Predators, really good movies.
I haven't seen Predator 2 in maybe a decade.
It's crazy how different of a film that is than the first one, though. Yeah. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, we're just in war, gang war Los Angeles now with Danny Glover. And it's just like,
fighting on the subway. It's so weird. I love it.
It's super weird. I love it, though. But, okay, I just thought Prey by itself was just a really good idea of what to do with a franchise.
Yeah.
And it was just a really well done film. I thought it was just very efficient, very well done, just top to bottom, a great action movie. I honestly forgot it came out this year. That's the only reason. But
it's also just like, you were talking about a good thing to do with the franchise. It is like the perfect way to reboot your franchise. If you're in a rut, which the Predator franchise definitely was, it's been a long, long time since we got a truly good, and even not considering Predators, which wasn't a huge success, it's been even longer since we have a successful Predator movie. And just siloing this movie out in setting it in the past, just doing whatever, not having to worry about the rest of the IP except for you get to use the Predator character and all that. I think it was just a great idea, and it tapped into a talent pool that, as I've talked about with Reservation Dogs on last episode, is just underutilized. There's so many great native actors out there, like Amber Mid Thunder was like fantastic in that. Is great in a lot of I can't remember what else I've seen her in besides that and Reservation Dogs, but she's you know what? And she was in fucking Legion, and she's good in Legion. So
bro, keep talking about Legion on these end of year episodes.
It was good for so long. Ugh.
It was so gone, and then it was bad. Yeah. But no, I really liked Prey. What else? What do I got up next? Next up, I got See How They Run, a Che recommendation.
So fun.
Great whodunit. Just a really, really fun whodunit. It's just a fun movie. Really recommend that one if you're ever in the mood for a whodunit. Then I got Jackass Forever, which I didn't really know how to rate.
Before we move on from See How They Run,
yes,
just,
please.
Tonally very different than other whodunits that I loved. I love that it's like kind of quirky and fun, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, which is the joy of that. And it taps into a lot of just a great, really talented cast. I mean, obviously, Saoirse Ronan is one of our best actors right now. So I love her. Yeah, so good. Yeah,
such a fun, such a good character. Like everyone in that film is just having a time of their lives.
Has love Sam Rockwell too. Been bad in a movie?
No. Yeah. He's the best.
He's even in Charlie's Angels, which is unwatchable.
Oh my god.
He's like by far the best.
He was the saving grace of when we did that episode. Yeah. That episode almost fucking killed us, I think. That movie sucked. That movie.
Anytime there's Crispin Glover in a movie, you have to think about what you're doing with your life.
It's feels like he's just covered in Vaseline all the time.
He's like a wet willy if it was a person.
That's exactly who Crispin Glover is. I'm sure he's a nice guy, maybe.
I'm actually not 100% sure he's a nice guy. I don't think he could be that fucking weird and also be a nice guy.
All right, next up I got Jackass Forever, which I didn't even know where to really, if this counts as a movie technically, where it's just know.
I never know what to do with this, and even Borat is sort of the same, where I love Borat. I think I did rank Borat on my list in 2021, but yes, I don't really know what to do with movies like this.
I think I talked about it when it first came out, but it feels very much like a wholesome movie about people just getting their bodies absolutely destroyed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was weirdly good, put me in a very good mood. I don't think this is the end for these people, and I have no idea how they keep living.
Also, it was really successful, so I don't think it will be. I think they're gonna come back for another at the very least.
And last up, I can recommend that a lot. Last up, I have the Christmas classic, the now Christmas classic, Violent Night.
So
just good. If you guys have not seen it, I think it's on demand now. Go watch the movie. Yeah. I don't care that Christmas is over now. Go watch that film. It's amazing.
There is a version of this movie that is in my top 5, honestly, and it's not that far away from the movie we got. There's
some fixes in it. There's some fixes that you could have done in it, but
yeah. I hope
there's a sequel.
Fun. It was such a good time.
I don't know how there would be a sequel, but I just want the next one to be about the Easter Bunny, I guess, or Cupid. I was let's just go through all of these now.
You know what? I want Mrs. Claus, because we get a lot of talk of Mrs. Claus this movie.
I was wondering who they was. I thought it was gonna be a cameo or some shit like that. I was is it gonna be Winona Ryder or some shit? I thought they were just gonna do that.
Oh, that would have been good.
I was wondering are they gonna show her? I feel like they were gonna show her. They kept building up to it, or she was gonna be dead. I'm oh, she's alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love. We've made 12 Violent Night jokes on these best of years. It's a lot of fun. It's so fun.
I love it. That almost made it into my list. So I was no, let's not be sad. Let's not be that stupid. Jay, let me listen. What's your runner-ups?
So
mentions.
Luckily, Corey has relieved me some stress by putting two of the movies I was struggling with, deciding whether to put on my top 10. I think they were on the cusp, so we had him on his list. So we'll talk about those later. But the few that didn't quite make it is the Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas vehicle, also starring Oscar Martinez, Official Competition, which is a dark comedy about the movie making industry and is obviously, as you can tell by the cast, incredibly acted and beautifully shot. They found, I think, the most beautiful building in the entire world and shot their movie there, which was just a cheat code. Penelope Cruz is giving one of the best performances I've seen from her in quite a while, and that is saying something. I think it's even better than the movie she got nominated for the Oscar for earlier this year, Parallel Mothers, which is lower down on my list. But I thought this movie was a ton of fun. It is currently viewable on AMC Plus, so if you have it, if you're the other guy that has AMC Plus who's not me, go over there and check it out. But yeah, I love this movie. I also Decision to Leave, which you will have seen on a number of people's top 10, including Obama, who really jacked my steez this year by picking a lot of my favorite movies. But
what does he do? Does he just like do everything efficiently?
Well, so he has a production company, so he's a movie guy now. He just be watching movies and shit, which is sick. Yeah. Barack, come on the fucking pod, dog.
That's how we get
actually
big.
I think that would be bad for us. I think we would not know what to do or how to talk.
I think we probably would just say something incredibly stupid, and every one of our friends and family would listen to it, and then we would be shamed for the rest of our lives.
Somehow we'd end up in fucking Guantanamo Bay.
Somehow
it just wouldn't go out for us. But Decision to Leave is the Park Chan-wook noir like romance comedy movie from Korea. If you are looking for something that's like a fresh take on a genre that I'm really obsessed with, I'm glad we're getting more of these movies. Cory talked about See How They Run, obviously. We're going to talk about another one later in the podcast. I think this is definitely one of them. I love the way this movie is shot and acted, and there's something about Korean movies when they're really good. They kind of, because it's just a very different approach to TV and filmmaking. Obviously, people know about Parasite, which I think is a lot of people's introduction to Korean film, but they're doing a lot of really interesting and great stuff over there. So definitely worth checking this out if you haven't seen it already. Last on my honorable mentions list is the Brendan Fraser movie The Whale, which I think is two incredible performances away from being like maybe a bit of a mess. I love Darren Aronofsky at times, and at other times I'm confused by him, including his movie Mother, which I think is terrible, but some people think is like a masterpiece, and I'm wondering if those people have never heard of the Bible. But I think this movie is, one, just really exciting because obviously as anybody who's been on the internet in the last year, it's just exciting to have like Brendan Fraser back in our life. Like it's
very
like,
true.
In a way that is not a joke. Like it's really, he's so good in this movie.
Yes, Che, come to the Brendan
I like
Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. I don't worship at the altar of Brendan Fraser the way that some people seem to.
I don't know why people love The Mummy so much. I'm one of them, and I still don't know why I love
The
Mummy's
Mummy's
so much.
fine. I think The Mummy's like an okay action movie.
I love that movie. Yeah, I love it though. I don't know what it is about The Mummy, but it's like, I know there was like several sold out screenings in New York for The Mummy this year.
Yeah. And obviously we've talked ad nauseum about his, well, actually not as much as we probably should have, but Doom Patrol, he's really great in Doom Patrol.
Great in Doom Patrol, yeah.
This is actually probably this is a similar performance to Doom Patrol. It has a lot of sorrow and depth in it, and it is, of course, for those of you who know the plot of the movie, this is like a pretty tough movie to watch because you're just watching a guy basically kill himself. And I obviously I would be I am like number one Hong Chow fan, and I just wanted to shout her out again because as usual she's like fucking incredible. Does not get enough credit, as always. She's made the cardinal sin of being a woman over 40, so like doesn't get enough roles that she deserves, even though I think there's an argument she's one of the like 5 best working actresses right now. She was great in The Menu, also earlier this year. I think this movie's like, it's got its flaws, especially I think the ending is a bit of a missed from Aronofsky, but just as an actor performance, Fraser, Sadie Sink, and Hong Chow are like otherworldly. I would not be shocked if our boy who started The Mummy and Journey to the Center of the Earth walks away with an Oscar this year. It's hard for me to put together another movie that has a better performance by a man this year, to be honest.
I really gotta give that a watch, especially as like big of a fan of Brendan Fraser as I am. Cannot wait to be sad and watch that film.
Yeah, it's got really. It's not all bleak. It doesn't like beat you over the head with it. It is obviously like at times very, very troubling. But I think that he has a real light to him in this movie as well. I did think about putting our boy Damien Chazelle's movie Babylon on here, which originally was ranked in like the mid-30s for me, and it's just quickly moved up and up the list. And I just wanted to mention it because I know it'll anger the proletariat because they hate this movie. I think this movie low-key might be fucking genius and also terrible. It's batshit. I love it. The first 30 minutes makes me feel like I'm on all of the drugs, which is, I think, the point, obviously, but I've never seen a movie go so hard and then drop the title screen on you and you'd be like, okay, I guess movie's starting now. I think I just did ecstasy, but here we are. Yeah, man, it's been a fucking great year for movies, especially foreign movies. I was looking at my list earlier and clocked that there are, of the 10 that we're going to talk about after this break in a second, only 3 of them are American movies, which is, I think, an all-time low for me. And zero of the movies star an American, which is, I guess, bad for the empire, but I don't really give a shit. It also doesn't help that of my bad movies, all but one are American movies starring Americans. So
I can put it out there, guys. All of my movies are American because I'm not a pretentious dick. All right, let's go to the break.
I mean,
I'm joking.
Not true.
Aren't they? Oh wait.
One of them isn't, but that's,
is it though?
It's British, which is
okay. But is it though?
I don't know what is it though means, but yes. We'll take a break and then we're gonna come back and start our top 10s.
But is it though?
Jack, you don't understand. I was right there. I watched the whole thing. I saw her fall. I tried to go and help, and then they dragged me away. Why would they take me away?
You have to stop.
There is no way that she's fine, Jack. No.
I don't know what to tell you. Ted is with her at the hospital right now. He said she needs a few stitches. She slipped cleaning the window. It was an accident.
Nope, I saw her. She cut herself.
You had a bad night.
Don't.
You weren't feeling
No.
how she felt.
No.
And you imagine the worst
Don't
case
do that.
scenario.
She slit her throat.
It's crazy.
Jack, I saw it happen. She cut herself open. There was blood everywhere. It's not just a few stitches.
Please don't get hysterical.
And we're back.
What's up?
All right, it's time for our top 10 through 6. And first up is Cory. Cory, what is your 10th best movie of the year 2022?
All right. My film is Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever, directed by Ryan Coogler. I was wondering where I was going to put this on my list, or if it was going to make my list. And I think looking back at the film, I don't think it's anywhere near a perfect film. But I think when we talked about this the first time around, it was the best film they could make.
Yeah, degree of difficulty on
to
this, as we said at the time, was, I think, other than Endgame, and maybe even including Endgame, is by far the hardest Marvel movie to make well. And the fact that this movie is even, like, as good as it is, and if there are a lot of people who will argue it's some bloat in there, I'm not arguing any of the faults of this. I agree with you, Cory, that this movie is like sort of a miracle that it's as good as it is.
Yeah. And it's not going to end up being one of my favorite Marvel movies. Hell, I don't even know if I'm going to rewatch it again, but
we should talk about when we're going to go back and revisit that ranking, because there's been a lot of Marvel since we did our ranking every Marvel movie, and I'm interested to know.
I think we are going to do it probably middle of next year. I got to take a look at the Marvel schedule, because I know coming up we got Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. So I want to see where that gets put in our list.
Yeah.
And also just kind of, we are actually just finished a phase, so actually might not be a bad idea to go sit down and rank everything. In this little bit.
Is Ant-Man and the Wasp to the beginning of 5?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the end of 4. I can't keep track
of
these things, man.
No. They made the phase. The phases got quick. A little quick phase.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think they did the best what they did. I think I'm really happy they introduced a really good villain and they didn't kill him.
Yeah, I think everyone was like, all right, we learned our lesson twice. Let's not do it again.
Still upset with some of the one other death. I don't want to spoil the movie that happened in the film. And I'm like, oh, come on. But like, other than that, it's, I thought it was a lot of really good shots in there. A lot of really great scenes in there. I just kind of, you could have tightened it up. But I think at the same time, it was like such a, I can't remember we talking about this. Maybe it was with you where it's like, I don't know when people are like actually acting in this film or are they just like legitimate? Are we just watching people go through grief right now because of how close it is to,
I mean, like, I think it's a bit of both, honestly. I mean, clearly that last scene where we're watching Shuri on the beach and she's reflecting on T'Challa is as much about what's happening in the movie as it is about everyone's feelings around the passing of Chadwick Boseman. I mean, that's undeniable. You can't really separate the two. And I think that's a big part of why Lupita Nyong'o's performance in this, who I think is the best part of this movie, performance-wise, is such a revelation. And I'm glad. I don't think I ever thought they were done with her, but I'm glad she made her return in this movie. So.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad. Yeah, I was like really worried they was just gonna sideline her, and I'm like, oh wait, she actually has a good scene, and now like for damn sure she's gonna be in the third one.
Yeah.
And I think like when I finish the film, I'm like, I'm very excited to see what he's doing next with this. Like, I want to see what's gonna be the next step in this franchise. I feel like there's so much up in the air, especially with old crazy face. So it like it is what we'll see what happens in the future. Letitia.
Oh, Letitia, right?
Letitia.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I think that the after credits scene, I was a little bit surprised at like people's reaction to it. I remember when I saw it in theaters, people like raucously applauded, which was interesting. I didn't think it was like.
To me, if anything, it was like very like bittersweet. I didn't like it. Wasn't like.
I thought it was a really beautiful moment. I didn't understand why everyone was like, "Yes, he has a son." We're like, okay.
Yeah, no, I had a bunch of like kind of like or like oh kind of like that was most of it. I'm like, this is what you're supposed to be reacting. It'd be really weird if just like that was the thing. And I mean, obviously we're gonna get some time travel shenanigans. I don't know. I wonder. I don't want to be like. I wonder if they're gonna cast as it because I mean that's a good thing about this now though. It's like we can kind of just do whatever we want.
Yeah.
With the casting with it, and it doesn't have to count as being like a like replacing Chadwick. And I think that's the smartest decision that this movie made.
I think this is for me. This is when the MCU is at its best in a lot of ways. Is when it can be utilitarian because obviously this movie needed to get a lot of stuff done. We needed, like, plot-wise, we needed to obviously address the loss of Chadwick Boseman and the T'Challa, the character. We needed to set up a succession plan for, like, what's going to be going on with this character going forward, or even if we are going to be going on with this character going forward. And we needed to introduce a new Marvel villain because we are really low on quality Marvel villains. It's got a lot of work to do that's, crunching the numbers, really. And when Marvel can do those things and be good is I think when it's at its most impressive. Now, I still think the best Marvel movies are the ones that are sort of like outside of that. That's why Ragnarok is so great because it doesn't really have a lot of work to do. It just gets to be until the last literally last 30 seconds of the movie is when we get like a massive canon reveal. But
it's also just like such a very like just big old like tone shift where it's just like this was a fun ride and then it's just like hey bad guy.
Yeah,
that guy's right there. Like, everyone's gonna die here.
Yeah, I think, as we said, this is a flawed movie, but it makes me. I was very worried, as I said, as we got closer and closer to the movie or to the release of the film. I was more and more worried for how this was going to play on screen, and like you, I'm more excited than I thought I would be for the third movie coming forward. I thought I would be sort of like dreading it, because it is still. No matter how good this movie is, no matter how successfully Coogler landed the plane, which I think he did, it is hard to see these movies without Boseman in them. I mean, is he the most perfect Marvel casting ever? I mean, I know it's him and Robert Downey Jr. are the two for me. I think those are one.
I was going to say Tom Hiddleston as well.
Tom Hiddleston's great, but I also think just like because of like I love Loki, but he's not as important as Iron Man and
no, you're
Black
very
Panther
right. No,
we're supposed to be.
Yeah, no, everything about it felt right. I mean, like, I remember when we first were talking about leading into the first one, which, we're like, let's, like, please let this be good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we both liked him in Civil War, but it really wasn't enough to be like, is he
he's
good?
Yeah, he's just sort of, it's like his origin story wrapped into 30 minutes of a great Marvel movie. So
yeah, Civil War also really shouldn't have worked either, but it worked very well. It should
the
not have,
like, Marvel movie should be good. They should all be DC movies.
They should all be bad. And because I remember going somewhere, I'm like, I fucking hate this comic book. I fucking, like, let's just get this over with. And like, you somehow did an origin story, a really good, like, character revival, a great villain, and then, like, just also wrapping Civil War up in a very well done bow.
Well, the secret to making a good Civil War movie is kind of make it nothing like the book at all.
That's very true, and also make it Avengers 2.5.
Right? Yeah.
Civil War is the second. Civil War is the best Avengers 2 movie, basically.
Yeah.
We don't really have to count Age of Ultron. But I think, like, right now, at least with the Marvel movies, I'm like, I'm just waiting for them to open up the box of toys that they currently have, and I'm like, give me the Fantastic Four, give me Doctor Doom, give me the mutants. Just like, I'm tired of waiting. I get there's a plan, but it's like, at some point you got to fucking help me out. Like,
Phase 4,
and I think we're gonna get that.
Felt a lot about setting up the what's going forward, and maybe a little bit resting on their laurels or taking some risks. And I think the two of us differ a little bit about our opinions on the totality of Phase 4, but I think it's clear from what Feige is saying, and it's clear from like what they've held in their locker, really, that like Phase 5 has a lot of wild shit coming for us. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm Corey accused me of being pretentious, which is for sure the case, but I'm still a fucking nerdy ass nerd. I love a Marvel movie when it's good. So
it's like at the end of the day, I'm like, yes, I want to see people punching things, and I kind of like, sometimes you need that, and I'm excited to see what's next, and I thought this was a very it was a good love letter, if anything. I thought this was I felt a lot of the emotion that was put in this movie. I think it definitely could have been tightened up in some places, but definitely like the emotion that I got out of this film. All right, Che, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is a foreign film, because I'm pretentious. This is the Fernando Leon Aroña. I'm so bad at names. It's bad. I got to get better at that. Directed film starring Javier Bardem that is about it's called The Good Boss. I should say the name of the movie. The Good Boss. And it is about a bad boss. And it is about a guy that I'm sure a lot of us have worked for, who's like, we are all a family here. This workplace is a family, and in the family, the boss seems to fuck a lot of his family. And it is about sort of the fall of an icon, because this guy, he's the character that Javier Bardem is playing, Julio Blanco, is like a community figurehead. He is, that's why it's called The Good Boss, is because he's seen as like this good guy. He's really nice to his workers, and then as the movie goes on, you see that is not the case, and at the center of it is, just as usual, a truly incredible Javier Bardem performance that is layered and quiet, and when it is like a powder keg that he manages. I think nobody is better at pacing their performance in a movie than Javier Bardem is. Obviously, I think like the best example of this is No Country for Old Men, where he is the terror of him is that he is completely silent, and then when he explodes, it's not even he like doesn't even have to raise his voice for you to get shaken on screen. The Good Boss is a very similar style to that, obviously in a much different movie, but as the film goes on, you see more and more of this guy is like not just like a bad guy, but insidious. And as all art in the 2020s is about the evil of capitalism, and I think unlike some of the more hand-fisted stuff we've seen this year in that area, is it a really effective criticism of it. And yeah, I love it. You can't really stream this. It is available for rent at the moment. I wonder if when the Oscars for Best Foreign Picture come out, if it gets a nomination, which I feel it deserves, obviously made my top 10 list. I wonder if it'll pop up on somewhere, but at the moment, you gotta drop a couple pounds to check this one out. It's excellent. It's just an excellent movie.
I gotta give that one a watch though. I'm just like going through and googling your list right now as time is going on. I'm very excited for this list of movies that I have not seen.
Like I said, I love this movie here. It's been great, but I'm also like I think it's rare. It's very rare, other than 2020, which was like a real struggle for obviously reasons to like get 10 movies together. I remember at the end of the year being real hard stuck on how the fuck we were gonna do it, but I find that there's always good stuff. When people say that a movie year is bad, it's because there's not a lot of great blockbusters, and that's the case. I mean, other than a movie that made Corey's list that we will talk about, there wasn't a ton of like, I think, big event movies that connected with people. Even Avatar, that I don't feel like it blew people away quality wise. But
that water was sick though.
Water be watering. Corey, what's your number?
That was some good water. My number 9 is Mark Malone's The Menu.
We're leaving now.
Oh, I have to get my wrap.
Forget your wrap. Get up.
Mr. Liebrandt?
We're leaving.
Is something wrong?
We're leaving.
There is no boat to leave on.
Then I'll call a helicopter.
That would be very difficult without phone service.
Fucking move.
Just do what they say.
No,
for God's sake.
I'll handle this. Just
With which hand, Mr. Liebrandt?
What?
With which hand will you handle this, left or right?
What the fuck are you saying?
Shall we choose?
Choose what?
Very well, left hand. Ring finger.
Let me out! Let me out! No! Come on! Leave the guy alone. What are you doing? Leave him! Come on! Do it! Come on! Easy! Leave the guy alone!
Mr. Liebrandt, please hold still.
This is another movie that I was like, saw the trailers for this for like 6 months, I felt like. And so when it finally came out, like, I guess I'll finally fucking see this movie that I keep getting yelled at about. But I described it as this many times, but it's Saw meets Chef's Table.
Yeah.
And it's very enjoyable. Just like a really dark, really funny, but very dark movie that I sincerely enjoyed. I think I've seen it twice now. And I think even the second time around, it kind of made it a little bit better. Not that it's like a super surprising film. I don't want to say it's groundbreaking by any means of any case or means, but I thought it was just a very well done and cool, like just a cool film, I think.
It's also, for a movie that's about a guy murdering a room full of people, is like uproariously funny. It's
yes.
One of the funniest movies that came out last year.
I think I laughed so much in this film. It's like not the funniest one, because like I think my funniest film this year is like about to be at the top of my list, but yeah. It's like it's a good time for how dark the movie actually is. Like describing the plot, it's like, it should be horrible, but it's very enjoyable.
As we said at the time, I don't think I laughed harder at anything this year than the Columbia line. It's just a great distillation of, and again, like I was talking about, all movies, all art now is about how capitalism is trash, and this is another one that is much more direct in its approach than The Good Boss is, but I think is in a way equally as effective. I love The Menu.
So what's your number 9?
My number 9 is a very early edition. I think this dropped like January 3rd or something like that. Although not the earliest movie on my list, because your boy did a bit of cheating this year, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. This movie is the Asghar Farhadi Iranian drama A Hero, which is a story of a man trying to make restitution for a debt he's made. And I don't know a ton about Iranian prison culture, obviously, but he's like in a debtor's prison, which is like, if you have a debt to a guy, they can just send you to jail, which seems crazy to me, obviously, but I know it's a thing. And it reminded me a lot of one of my favorite movies from, Jesus Christ, maybe almost 10 years ago now, which makes me feel as old as dirt, but 2 Days, One Night, starring Marion Cotillard, which is like the same idea. It's this woman like going around begging and pleading, and it's about like this, you watch this person who is trying their hardest to retain their pride and their status, and they have to basically scrape their knees along the ground to get anybody to help them. And A Hero is honestly just a beautiful performance. Is I think at the key of the success of this movie. It is obvious. It's not an actor I know a ton about. I will not pretend to have watched like a lot of Iranian films. Amir Jadidi is the main actor. He's incredible. He does like. He's got one of the best, like most expressive faces I've seen in a while, and a lot of this movie is him standing in the corner of scenes while people talk about him, and you just watch his face as he reacts to everything that's going on around him. This one's available on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out. So much more easy to watch than my first two movies, and or my first movie. And I thought this movie's fantastic. Like I said, we are in a banner time for foreign films, so this is certainly one of the examples of it.
My next one was a great art house film that definitely holds the test to foreign films, like Che is saying. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
I do really
the Nick Cage
love
vehicle.
Our movie podcasts are the best because I love all of Cory's movies, but they're like the juxtaposition of them next to my movies is clearly just like they're very different films.
Very different films.
But yes, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is just a great time.
Insane. It's a fun, insane time, and another film that should not have worked. On paper, it sounded. I'm like Nick Cage playing himself. I'm like, say no more. And then you add in Pedro Pascal, where I have probably the perfect example of a buddy love movie. It's just like I think the only thing that kind of falls apart for me is the third act. I think a little bit, but those first two acts.
It's another movie that's like low-key ruined by a kid. Like I didn't care about the family story. Yes. It's not as bad as oh my god, fucking Black Adam, but it is in the same vein. It's like I just have this movie be Nick Cage and like be in Nick Cage for 2 hours and it would have been a lot of fun. But yeah,
I think like I would watch Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage trip off of mushrooms for. I could watch that forever.
It's a great fucking scene.
The over the fence or like scene of like whatever the fuck they're hopping over the thing is one of like the best bits of comedy I've ever seen.
Although
well done.
The scene that I would have watched genuinely, like I would subscribe to this fucking podcast, is those two characters talking about movies forever. Because
just the amount of reverence he has for Nicolas Cage movies. It's like I do that as a bit, but like. The character actually, I mean, Pedro Pascal is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I love that I'm just seeing him in everything now. I love that he's going to be in Last of Us. I didn't even know that was a fucking TV show until like a week ago.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Very excited for that.
As a man who has played 0 seconds of that game, I'm really excited for that movie.
That game TV show. Fucking rocks. But, yeah, no. I could always do more Pedro Pascal. I love seeing him in comedic roles. His timing and delivery, all of that is fucking great. It's a very dynamic actor. And I pray at some point I'm just going to get my Oscar Isaac Pedro Pascal buddy cop movie where it's a comedy. I don't care. I just want it to be dumb and fun. They're friends in real life. I just let me have this society.
I think with both of their stock on the rise, I think we will see that sooner rather than later.
Shane Black, go. Just make Nice Guys. I need the trilogy to
nice
be complete.
Nice Guys 2 would be great. Yeah.
I got Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I got Nice Guys. I just need like one final part of the trilogy of his buddy cop movies.
I'm definitely sold. It's a great idea.
I hope he doesn't pick up my phone calls anymore though.
Anymore? At one point,
listen, I cursed him out because it was after Predator. I called him. I was mad. I listen. I was excited for that movie.
Never tell. They
beat the Predator. They beat Predator with autism. That was fucking impressive. Impressively that you wrote that in there, Mr. Black.
It's a rough fucking movie, isn't it? It's rough.
Che, what you got?
All right, my number 8 is Petite Maman. I'm definitely saying that incorrectly. It is the Celine Chicama French magical realism drama, and it is about the experience of loss and family. And the plot of the movie is a daughter goes to a house with her mother and father to clean out after, like, they go to their grandmother's house to clean it out after she passes away, and it turns out that like through the woods is a portal in a way to the past, and she interacts with her mother as a child, and it is like the structure of the movie is about sort of growing closer to your mother, who in this movie is struggling with depression and everything, obviously, after the passing of her mother. It's an absolutely beautiful film. I think a revolutionary child performance. It is a movie that's essentially just a child performer. The entire movie is just kids. The mother and father are barely characters in it. And as you guys know, anybody who's seen a movie, we're just talking about how shitty kids are, can go wrong almost all the time. And in this one, it is like a miracle of how successful it is. It is also like just a movie that's like, I think for anybody who has a relationship, good or bad, with their parents, and I guess that's everybody, it will really like connect with you, because it is about this universal experience of trying to understand your parents, and through that learning more about yourself. I think it's one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in a really long time, and it's hard to have something this like sentimental and for me to give a shit about it, because I got like a heart of stone. But when I saw this in theaters, it really moved me. And if you're looking for something that'll make you shed a bit of a tear, this is definitely on the list. And it is available on Hulu, so pretty easy to check this one out. So.
Fine. I guess I'll watch it. Here's my British. It's not kidding. It's not British. And I actually had a.
Yeah, I was wrong. I thought this was the non-American movie on Corey's list, but I was incorrect, and that is on me. But Corey, what's your number 7?
I got The Northman, directed by Robert Eggers. I was trying to figure out where I want to put this movie, because it definitely did stick with me. And I kind of do like that most of my films I've had, like, so far, I've always been like, but with each of them. But I think there is a little bit of a lull in this movie. But the beginning and the end of this movie are just fucking exhilarating.
Interesting. I love the middle.
I didn't say I disliked it. I'm just saying, but to me personally, like, the opening shot with the fucking, like, Viking raid. And then the middle was, okay, actually I lied though, because the middle part where he's just going around and being like a psychopath.
I love the fucking middle. I kind of wish that was the actually whole awesome. Movie.
That you know what? Actually, I take it back. That okay, I'm sorry. Before that ball gets rolling, it's like, come on, what's it gonna happen? And then he just goes batshit insane with it. And I'm like, okay, yes,
there's more incest than I like in my movies, which is ideally no incest.
No, of course.
But
I get enough of that on my television show.
I want my incest restricted to my fantasy HBO on Sunday prestige television. Thank you. I
agree. Yes.
But I think there is something like
that scene's fucked up. I hated that scene so much. It made me so uncomfortable. Of that.
Is there a better, in a lot of ways, is there a better duo than Petite Maman about like relating to your mother and trying to connect with her and understanding her emotions, and The Northman, where there's a scene in which a guy who like gets yelled at him by his mother about how he's impotent and fucking garbage. It makes me
after her kissing him
out of my skin. I know. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. But the movie has a great ending. It's just insane where he didn't have to do the ending. Yeah. He didn't have to do any of that shit, but he decides to.
I mean, I will say this. This was my Avatar this year. This is like a visual feast.
Oh yeah, it was also beautiful. Like I think
it is a cheat code shooting your movie in Iceland though. So like let's all relax. Don't give Eggers too much credit or anything, but.
It definitely did hit that whole, like, I want to go, like, this is so much testosterone and just, like, you can't think of anything more, like, metal than just, like, two guys fighting in a volcano. I'm like, let's fucking go. This doesn't make any fucking sense at all. They'd be dead as shit, but I don't give a fuck.
It's definitely the most fun I've had watching hundreds of shirtless white men for 2 hours.
Yes.
Well, second most fun. I'll keep the first. It's a secret, though.
Jay, what's your next movie?
My next movie, my number 7, we're going to save... But I will say it now. It is The Batman. That is going to be later on Corey's list. So we're going to talk about it when we get there. So let's just jump right back to you for your number 6, which is another movie that I really like. Like I said, I love, although we have very different movies this year, I think we actually only have the one overlap in our top 10.
I think if my movie is like described, it's just like some guy just like kind of happily clapping somewhere. And Che's movies are like, I'm thinking. Mine is just like, let's just watch something.
Sometimes, listen, I love a fucking just like great great.
See, like, what I like to do,
like Nope.
I like to just put all of my smart art house films into 1 week where I just feel horrible and go through every string of emotion.
Yeah, I would say.
And then I come out the other side a different person.
You're going to come out of this with 20 plus great movie recommendations. I actually think it's probably a smart strategy to like bounce back and forth between ours. I would not watch all my movies in a row unless for some reason you want to feel bad.
I do. I just want to start 2023 on a bad foot. All right, so my number 6 is Jordan Peele's Nope. I liked it a lot, and it's like funny. I didn't really know how to feel about it when I left the film, like left the theater, because what I do like about his films is everyone like they're all different from each other. He has like a definitely has he definitely has a style, but all of them do feel significantly different than the ones that come before.
Although I will say, until we got Nope, I felt like Get Out and Us were more related. I was like, oh, these are different, but like they feel sort of a vein. And then we get Nope, and then you see the breadth of what Peele is trying to do and like how different the approaches to the filmmaking he's trying to make are. I think it's a incredibly bold move to shoot most of this movie in broad daylight. Unlike like Get Out, which is essentially, once the horror element of it starts, all at night. And the same with Us, which is... Yeah,
Us takes place all at night. It's like one night, basically.
Underground.
But Nope is just like... It's like it's a Western.
Yeah.
It's a Western. If you guys haven't seen Nope, I don't want to give it away. Because I think it's a very fun twist, and everything they do about the movie is very fun.
Yeah.
But had some great visuals, some great horror visuals in this. I'm going to think about the Blood Rain for a long time. Even though like I don't necessarily love the reason behind it, but I did love the bike chase scene. I thought that was really well shot and cool.
I think the bike, I think the part of this movie that really lets it down is basically when the bike starts. I think this is, like most Jordan Peele movies, is a third act problem. And I think the ending of this movie is what is keeping it off of my top 10 list. I think for me, this is my favorite Jordan Peele movie. I will say that right now. I think Nope is his best film.
I agree with you.
I think it has the most ideas, which I think makes it the most fun to watch and begs the most rewatch. Get Out is probably the most fun, right? I especially if you watch it all the way to the end. If you pause Get Out with like 20 minutes to go, you've had a terrible time. But the end really makes you leave the theater or leave your couch really in a great mood.
One day I'm gonna figure out that monkey thing though. I'm like, one day I'm gonna figure out that monkey thing.
Well, I think so. For me, Nope is about like nature and what we've done to it and how it is like trying to beat us back, and like this relationship we have with global warming and the ending of humanity in a lot of ways, because people always say we're killing the earth, but the truth is the earth's actually going to be fine when it's all said and done. When we've acid rained ourselves off this planet, the earth will recover,
just without us.
Just without us. And I think that is a lot about what this movie is about. And the monkey flashback is both a parallel to that theme and the theme of the movie that is about like what happens when you try to literally capture a wild animal, which is so much about what the Stephen Yeun storyline in this movie is about. Is literally the reason that Stephen Yeun gets his shit pushed in is because he tries to tame this thing, and this thing is untamable. All right, got a bit of technical difficulties there. I don't know exactly when it cut off, but I think we were both pretty much done talking about Nope and our feelings on it. I think this is one of the movies on our list we don't need to pitch to many people. A big success. Jordan Peele is a household name at this point, so if you haven't seen it, you've definitely heard about it, and you know where to find it. So we'll just jump over to my number 6, which is Triangles of Sadness by Ruben Östlund.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Yesterday, I was up on deck.
Yes.
And it was so beautiful. Everything was fantastic. But then I saw the sails.
The sails?
The sails, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were dirt gray. Do you think it's possible to wash them?
Well, I don't think that's possible, ma'am, because this is a motorized vessel.
Yeah.
So we don't have any sails.
Maybe it was the sun deck roof?
What? Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Magnus?
Nope is in a way a dark comedy, a horror comedy, and Triangle Sadness is a very similar experience. We've talked about this in relation to The Menu because they came out really close to each other and are very similar themes, both very direct approaches to what. I mean, they're both movies about eating the rich, almost literally.
I love how many we have 3 of those movies in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not exaggerating when I say most art now is about the demise of capitalism and how it's killing us and how we should kill it.
Ironic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of levels of irony that movies are going to be about that.
And I really love Triangles of Sadness. I think Osterlund has a knack for this sort of biting criticism. I loved The Square from 2017, and this I think takes a lot of what he's doing in that movie up, like turns it up to 11, which at times is really effective and at times is not so effective. This movie is told in 3 very distinctive acts. The act that I think most people will have seen in the trailers is the boat, and they will know about how this movie is about a bunch of rich people on a boat. It's actually only like a third of what this movie's about. It's mostly about like these 2 people trying to infiltrate the upper class and how you have to almost literally sell your soul to become a part of it. And it has a lot of really interesting things to say about this topic, a topic that I am personally very passionate about. I would love to eat the rich, mostly because, well,
I honestly thought that's where The Menu was going to go.
I thought they were going to eat.
I'm happy you didn't. I'm not big on cannibalism. I'm not really going to go watch Bones and whatever because I just, not my thing. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Is it weird? Is it more crazy that the guy that brought us Call Me By Your Name made Bones and All, or that he also made the Suspiria remake?
I'll say this, Che. I think I'm going to ponder that over our break.
All right, we'll take a quick break and come back and give our top 5s.
I never mourned him.
You were his queen.
Your father endured me because I bore him a son.
No.
His affections were only for silver and ratting his horse. I know not if he had heart enough to love you.
Silence.
He was a coward, feigning to be a king. He was nothing. He was just another proud, lust-stained slaver.
Hold your tongue! You spit in the face of your dead husband.
Yet his brother, his fine brother. A bastard has no shame of himself, nor his trade. Your uncle loved me, though he knew well my past.
And we're back.
What's up?
All right, it is time for the top 5 movies of the year by Cory and Che, the only 2 people that know anything about movies. Isn't that right, Cory?
Yep.
All right, what's your number 5, movie man?
My number 5 is Barbarian, directed by Zach Kreger. My favorite horror film of the year, far and away for me. Just a great film that was like not ruined by a trailer. Just did not expect the movie to go in the directions that it went in. I highly recommend this movie. It's such a good, like, great atmosphere, just well done directorial debut. Great performance. It's just like so many things are just unexpectedly happens in the film, and they all work. I loved it. It makes me never want to stay in an Airbnb again, though. But like other than that, yeah.
I mean, your point about the trailer, I think, is actually really important because I was talking about how Ambulance is maybe the perfect example of why maybe my going blind is a bad idea. Barbarian is the perfect example of why I think this is how everybody should watch movies, because I didn't watch the Barbarian trailer before, or I watched it afterward, as I usually do, and it gives you nothing, which is the beauty of it. It is like you have to go into this movie blind. That is the sort of the joy of the experience, and it will be impossible to replicate now, unfortunately, but a lot of the fun in this movie is seeing it in a good crowd, and you get that moment, especially if you're in the right theater, when the cut happens to our boy, and you're like, I don't want to give anything away because I think there's a few people who haven't seen it that are watching this, but the cut that anybody who sees the movie will know what I'm talking about, and you're just like, I'm sorry, what's happening now? Are we in a different movie? What?
Yeah.
Why is this music playing? What's going on? Are we gonna go back to the house? Why are we talking?
Please, no. What are we doing? Stop it.
Yeah. This movie was a ton of fun. It is. Horror is becoming, because of the economics of it, is becoming like one of the standout genres in filmmaking. People who really interesting directors and a lot of first time directors too are really cutting their teeth in horror. So. Yeah, I think this movie was great. I'm with you.
And also the other way around too. We're seeing a lot of directors who are coming out of making horror films. Like we just talked about Shazam. Can't remember the guy's name on top of my head, but like also a horror director who made a very like basically family friendly superhero film that involved a lot of people dying. But besides that scene, pretty family friendly.
Yeah.
It's always a good sign to me when I walk out of a movie, or like the movie ends and I'm just like, what the fuck just happened?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I think I might have messaged you immediately. I'm like, I don't know what just fucking happened, but you should go see this movie.
Yeah. I think if you're a horror fan, you should have already seen The Barbarian, but if you haven't,
you should have already seen it.
Check it out.
Yeah, go find yourself a dark room and watch Barbarian
for easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say what you got, number 5.
All right, my number 5 is, I think, the only horror movie on my list. Right? Yes. And that is Alex Garland's Men.
Explain what's happening, please. Can you explain what's happening, please? Police car's been dispatched. Please stay on the line.
I am staying on the line.
Are you alone in the house?
He's trying to get in.
Police are on their way. There's a car in the
We were talking about movies that like fucked us up. This is the key to it. This is I made this reference earlier in the year when we talked about the movie, but this is the like pretty sister to Don't Worry Darling. Like it's doing everything that Don't Worry Darling really was trying to do and did it successfully.
Scariest trailer of the year.
Yes. Honestly, the trailer is scary in the movie stuff. I don't think the movie, for those of you who are put off by like really, really terrifying horror movies, I don't think Men is up there. It has a few very creepy moments, and Garland knows how to use light and dark in a way that I think is really beautifully effective. But if you're put off by horror, I wouldn't like shy too far away from this movie. If you are put off by grotesque body stuff, though, maybe steer clear. I just think that I was shocked at the response critically to this movie. I'm not going to look it up because it's a number that doesn't mean anything, but I think it has like a pretty low score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is surprising to me because one, I think Alex Garland is like a darling of critics. He's made some really critically successful movies, including Ex Machina and one of my favorite shows of all time, Devs. But two, has two like legendary performers in it giving great performances. Jesse Buckley, who I have been on the record as saying and will continue to say is the best actor alive right now. That is man, woman, other. She's the best doing it. I will watch anything Jesse Buckley does. And Rory Kinnear is just like so fucking creepy in this movie. He makes me want to jump out of a window. He's so good. You haven't seen Men, I don't know how else to pitch it to you. It's Alex fucking Garland, man. Like, did you like Ex Machina? Yes, you loved Ex Machina. Yeah. Everyone did. Go see Men.
About to tear this fucking dance floor up.
There's unfortunately no dancing in Men. I think that's the real.
He needs more dancing scenes in his movies.
But let's go to your number 4, Corey.
That's fine.
Which is
my number.
The coming in to the podcast, and I guess now that we're in 2023 has officially been the most successful movie of the year.
Yeah, who saw that coming? Top Gun Maverick, directed by Joseph Kosinski.
Tommy does it again. My boy Tom Cruise did it again.
I don't know why this movie works so well. I didn't really love the first one, but I was like, hey, listen, I've like, I'll go see the new one in theaters. I got much else going on. Holy shit, though. What a great, like, in-theater experience. Just the way that this was shot and those plane scenes were just well done. It just does a great job of pacing in the action. And the movie is written like it still like exists in that 80s where everyone talks like an insane person. But it all
this movie
works.
could have come out the year after Top Gun. And
I kind of did like that, though.
Yeah.
I like that the dialogue still was like...
It exists in a time box, really.
Yeah, no one talks like that ever. Like, it's like pretty much the two men would rather go fight in a war rather than talk about emotional honesty. It's like... Literally, it took them almost dying for them to make up. It was just, but it doesn't matter.
Although, it's all just... I mean, a genuinely beautiful scene. I mean, on top of like, it's obviously a much lesser version of like a movie dealing with real life the way that Wakanda Forever did. But I think in the same vein, really dealt with the tragedy that has befallen Val Kilmer in like a beautifully like sensitive and touching way, and I think it makes it's the best scene in the movie. I know
it is.
I know it's not going to have the like the replay value of the fucking like trench run and that stuff.
God, that was such a cool trench run.
But I think the movie needs it. I don't think Top Gun Maverick is successful as a film without the Val Kilmer Tom Cruise scene, which
I think like that's a really good point as well, because I mean, it does kind of follow the numbers from like the first one too, where like the film does just feel heavier after Goose's death.
Yeah.
And I like that in this one where like now you have a sense of weight to this film.
Right.
Like for the most part, it was like, this was just like happy fun, Tom Cruise dealing with his shit, but like not that big of a deal. And then like after that step, and then like there's more obstacles. And then I think like as soon as Val Kilmer's scene happens, I think the ball just says like, oh, this movie's actually like, I didn't realize I cared this much right now about this shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Miles Teller was really good in it too. Really starting to grow on Glenn Powell. He's plays such a charming dickhead, and I'm just like,
I feel really bad for Glenn Powell because this movie, so obviously it got really like delayed. It was supposed to come out in 2020, and then like the rest of the world got fucked by COVID. But I think the real plan was like to launch Glenn Powell as like an action movie star on the back of it, and his whole career has been sidelined for 3 years because of the delay of this movie. Now, obviously, he's in the most successful movie of the year, so I think he'll be okay. But yeah, I like everybody that's in this movie.
I watched it twice so far, and I'm like, oh, this is like both times it was great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like honestly, find the biggest screen you can for this movie. Pump up the sound and just kind of like, also just the fact that Tom Cruise is crazy ass was just like they got them all to film it in fucking actual fighter jets. It's like, yeah, no, this is
Tom Cruise is. I actually think the end of Ghost Reckoning 2 is going to be a scene where we watch in real life Tom Cruise die, and that's going to be the denouement to his career. He's going to.
And they're not going to tell us. He's just going to be like
or some shit.
He's going to be mysterious, and he's like, and at the end of the credits, like, oh, he actually did die doing this. This is the end of it.
Yeah.
This is how he wanted to go.
They're going to go to black, and then you'll have the rest in peace Tom Cruise. Go, what? Huh? Rest in peace to who? What are you talking about? What do you mean? Come again?
This is the only way we can get out of Scientology. All right. Che, what you got?
All right. I teased it a bit. I did a bit of a cheat. I did a bit of a trick. I'm sorry. But this movie dropped on December 31st at midnight in 2021. We had already recorded and released our best movies of 2021. And I just wasn't going to talk about... I wasn't not going to talk about the... Maggie Gyllenhaal, Dakota Johnson, Olivia Colman, Jessie Buckley vehicle, The Lost Daughter.
Kind of a small little cast, you know.
Yeah. Have ever heard of any of those fucking people before?
Never.
I should say Maggie Gyllenhaal is the director, not in the cast, for those of you who are confused by that list there. But as always, you get a bunch of really great actors in a movie like they did, and I don't know if it's the case that Dakota Johnson is still, to a lot of people, the girl from 50 Shades of Grey, but if she is, I would say go check out some of her work, because Dakota Johnson's like an incredible actress, much better than those movies allow her to be. And I also think, as evidenced by her performance in the movies and watching her talk about the movies after, I'm not sure she was doing her best work. I'm not sure she was bringing her A game to the table for 50 Shades Freed.
No, really?
I'm just, you know what? I'm just guessing. Yeah, I think The Lost Daughter is fantastic. It is, it's already done the whole Oscar shit. You know, like I said, it came out early this year, but literally last year. So we've had all the conversations. I don't know how much else you need me to say about Olivia Colman. I think she's great in everything. And if you have Netflix, everyone's got Netflix. Go watch this movie. It's fantastic. Corey, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a film we kind of mentioned earlier. I believe it was early up on your list, Che. Matt Reeves' The Batman.
Wait, who was that?
Oh, I saw him.
Look back.
If I look back, it's going to be a whole can of worms.
I need to see his face. That's the DA, Gil Colson.
And he's coming over. You happy?
Talk to him.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
I'm Gil.
Hey, aren't you the DA?
Yeah.
Wow, I've seen you on TV.
Is that right? I haven't seen you around here before. It's a hell of a time to be the new girls. People are all a little on edge.
Oh, honey, I live on the edge.
Is that right? I like that. Do you want to come over?
Sure.
A movie that, much like Wakanda Forever and much like sort of everything that Marvel did this year, to be honest, I was a bit worried for and coming out because I was like, I like Robert Pattinson. I like Matt Reeves. Can they pull this off? It's going to be a tough act to follow. Obviously, the Christian Bale Batman movies, and then I think they fucking did it, guys. I think this movie's fucking sick.
Yeah, like I think when I heard it announced, I'm like, this is gonna be like, I don't know. I mean, I trust Matt Reeves, so I'm like, I like Matt Reeves. It's gonna be fine. Robert Pattinson, weird casting, but I mean, hey, the man can act, whatever. And then the first fucking trailer came out, and then the music started playing.
Yeah.
And then I felt something, and then I saw it in the theater, and I just felt that for 3 fucking hours, and I was like, give me more. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted more of existing because it was like finally I'm like, this is Batman. I think we talked about this earlier, like Christopher Nolan movies. I think they're better films.
I don't think we will ever pass Dark Knight. I think Dark Knight is kind of like, as far as like a Batman visceral experience, and of course because of our relation to like what happened with Heath Ledger afterward, I just don't think you can make a better Batman movie than that. Although I do think there's a lot of faults in the narrative of the Dark Knight, but like I think for me right now, and I've since rewatched the movie since it came out in earlier this year in March, I think it's the second best Batman movie. I like this more than Batman Begins, and I love Batman Begins.
I think I agree with you there. And I think, but to me personally, like the character of Batman, it just feels so much more of a thing in Robert Pattinson's version.
We said at the time, and I think he's the best. He's the best Batman.
Yeah, and it's like, and I'm just like, I think I just want to see more of this character. I want to see the evolution because very clearly there's a plan. I like the way that we introduced to this Batman. It's like we don't really have Bruce Wayne's not even a fucking character in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just the Batman the
Which
entire
I think is
time.
Smart. I think that's another reason how they distance themselves from the Nolan movies because, like I said, Robert Pattinson's the best Batman. I think Christian Bale's clearly the best Bruce Wayne. And to make this movie about... No, don't do this to me. Don't.
I'm joking.
The man had a fucking bat card. I was like, what is happening? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Yeah, I don't know. I think this is really great. You talking about where this is going, Corey. Can I say something vulnerable in this podcast without being laughed at?
Sure.
All right.
Well, I can't promise the second part, but sure.
I've been thinking a lot since I watched this movie the second time. And it's not going to happen. They've already shut it down. And because of a movie that's going to be later on my list, I've been thinking more and more, maybe we let Barry, maybe we let Kehoe run the Joker. Because Barry Keogh's fucking incredible, and
I think he's a great actor. But I think
3 seconds we see of him is like, oh my god.
I'm tired of the Joker.
I know.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing. I'm just like, can we just like kind of like? There's like 50 other great Batman villains. Like,
I know. Yeah. But you haven't seen the movie I'm talking about that I'm
but I believe I've seen him in something though that he blew me away. And I can't remember what it was, but I've seen him in something that really blew me away. So I'm like, hey, fuck, he was also great. He was a great fucking Eternals in his fucking 3 minutes that he was in that movie.
Barry Keogh's fantastic, and I left. I mean, I don't know why I'm skating around. Everybody knows what movie I'm talking about. I left Banshees of Inisherin being like, if he had done this energy as the Joker, obviously Heath Ledger is like hallowed ground. We'll never see anything like it. It would be a very different performance, but I would love to have seen it. I think the thing that annoys me most is not that we're not getting Barry Keogh's the Joker, is that I don't think we can get him in the Batman universe anymore.
Why do you say that?
I just don't think he's not going to come back as like a different character, right?
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. You're very right.
That's if they hadn't even teased it, it was like, he's going to be, I don't know, Two-Face or I don't know, whatever. Any other Batman character, I would have been fine. I just think Keogh's like, he's got great villain energy. I would have loved to see it. But and
I do like one more thing about the Batman. I did like how many basically it felt like it felt more like just like the big old case, and it felt very much like the Long Halloween, which is just using as many of these Batman characters as possible and just making it feel like the city. I will say, I think it's the best Gotham that I've seen.
Oh yeah,
because the city feels real, it feels fictional. I really love the emphasis that they made in making it feel like its own city. And I like the fact they're building up. I mean, now we have the Joker, Riddler, fucking Penguin. And I think it's going to keep on building upon that. We have introduced so many characters into the Batman universe. It's just like, here's so many, and then we can keep on adding on top of that.
Yeah.
I think they said it's a planned trilogy. James Gunn has come on record saying he's going to let him cook. So Matt Reeves, I hope.
I mean, you were talking about how we trusted Matt Reeves. If you had told me they were remaking the Planet of the Apes movies, it'd have been like, I'm good. It's like, we don't, what else can we do with this? And it's just like, oh, we can actually make a movie where I'm very invested in these monkeys. I think apes. James, good for DC that I think James Gunn and Matt Reeves are probably the two steadiest hands we have right now in Hollywood as far as blockbuster filmmakers go. I think these guys have franchise movie making on lock. They're the two best doing it right now. I'm excited for the next Planet of the Apes movie. I'm super excited for the next Batman movie. Like I said, this was my number 7 movie of the year. I think it's fucking sick. So, all right, my number 3, Corey. We're moving on.
Yeah, you're number 3, man.
All right, my number 3, another early in the year movie. It's not a cheat this time though. It did drop in 2022 in the United States, which is all I give a shit about. I'm not going to Sundance. Sorry, boys. But this is The Worst Person in the World, the Joachim Trier movie that is another gut-wrenching experience with pain and tragedy and love. And that's my niche. What can I say? I got a thing. This is my thing. I said during Oscars time, and so I won't retread all of my takes on this movie because we've talked about it ad nauseum. I think this movie has some of the best performances of the year, including Anders Lee who is in 3 scenes and is unforgettable. If you haven't watched The Worst Person in the World yet, go do it. But be on the lookout for the scene in the hospital, or more specifically, in the moment outside of the hospital where Axel and Julie are sitting at the table. I think it is the best scene of 2022. I like I said, we've talked about this movie already a ton. But if I just wanted to pitch it again because I think it's one of the best movies of the year. But I
gotta get around to that one.
It's cool.
Definitely.
I think this is the movie that on my list is I think the most universally has the most universal appeal. I don't know a person that I wouldn't recommend this movie to, just because it has sort of everything in it. It has fun. There's talking about great drug scenes with the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. One of my favorite drug scenes of the year was in this movie. They just do a bunch of acid and trip their balls off, and it's a ton of fun. I couldn't have more praise for Trier's. I don't think it's unfair to say masterpiece. So, but yeah, let's jump over to your number 2, Corey.
Sure thing, man. My thing is the follow to one of my favorite films, Rian Johnson's Glass Onion. I'm not gonna say the second part. I
think A Knives Out Mystery is key because is this our best non-action movie franchise now? Because I think this has the most appeal. It feels like White Lotus on TV. We can just get a ton of actors to go to a pretty place and hang out.
My dear friends, my beautiful disruptors, my closest inner circle.
We could all use a moment of normalcy, and so you are cordially invited
For a long weekend on my private island!
Where we will celebrate the bonds that connect us, and I hope your puzzle-solving skills are whetted.
because you will also be competing to solve the mystery
of my murder. Travel details to come. Please forward any dietary restrictions. Love and all my kisses, Miles.
Ma, where's my spear gun? I got it packed. Babe, get packed.
What's that?
I don't know.
I think you're very right. I think we need to start expanding into different franchises that are not just action based. Yeah. And as whodunits, I've gone on record of probably saying they're probably my favorite types of stories. And Knives Out is one of my favorite movies that I've probably seen about 10 times at this point. And I was super, I don't like to say nervous, but I was very much going to be like, I hope this doesn't suck.
Because it didn't feel like when we left Knives Out, we needed another one.
No, it didn't. But
I
was like,
wrong.
I think
Glass Onion's good, but
well, I guess when I left Knives Out, I was like, I want to see this detective character more, and I'm glad that this seems to be. I'm glad that this is what it's gonna be. I'm glad that we're gonna keep like using this great detective character where Daniel Craig is seeming to be having so much fucking fun playing him. Just to see where he's just like in the pool in his ridiculous swimsuit. It's just really, really funny just to see the way his brain works. And I was kind of like, oh no, he's gonna be the main character, and this is gonna kind of take away from kind of what Ana de Armas's character was. But as soon as the whole, and I love how Rian Johnson does this, and I don't know why I didn't see it coming, but when he does his twist thing where basically he shows his hand, and I was like, I don't know why I didn't see it coming, or I didn't expect something like this to happen, because it was like, this is way too straightforward. Something's gonna drop, and Johnson then the thing drops, and I'm like,
if nothing, the king of subversion, right? That's his thing.
He's the king of subversion. And yeah, I mean, like I was like, I think like up until that point, I was like, this is okay. And I was like, this is okay. And then it happened. I'm like, oh, this is very good. But I would watch Daniel Craig just berate people as he berated Edward Norton's character and especially because it just, the timing wise with Elon Musk's dumbass self in this film, it worked way too well.
Also, that scene gave me real Birdman vibes. It made me think of like Edward Norton's character in Birdman and that scene where they're fighting in their underwear. It's just one of my favorite scenes in movie history. Yeah, Glass Onion's a ton of fun, but I also think like the entire planet watched Glass Onion over the holidays, so we don't need to. We don't need to bitch at anybody.
No, we don't. But I probably am going to end up watching that tonight. So
yeah. Before we move on from Glass Onion, I have a question for you. I'm not sure it matters to the quality of the film or not, but is the accent good? Because I think it might be bad.
Whose accent? Daniel Craig's?
Yeah. I think it might be intentionally bad, but I think it's real.
No, it's intentionally bad. I fucking love it. No, it's no one talks like that, Che.
Right? He's
no
like
one.
Fucking Foghorn Leghorn. It's so
funny. It's like, what the fuck was the joke from the first one? Kentucky Fried. It was like KFCSI. It was like that is perfect. I was like, yes, that's a great quick joke, and I'm like, yes.
I want to know, was it Johnson's call or Daniel Craig's call that he was like, actually, I'm a Southern detective, and when I say Southern, oh boy, do I mean Southern.
I mean Southern as I've never actually been to the South. And this is what I assume people. It'd be very funny if like just like an American just has a ridiculous Cockney accent in a British television show, and just no one really acknowledges it. Really,
it is true. It's a good point. I don't think the other way would fly at all. Or like
I think we've only done it with like what, 2 actors I can think of off the top of my head: Brad Pitt and Robert Downey Jr.
Well, you're forgetting the legend himself from the masterpiece of 2022, Brian Tyree Henry in Bullet Train. and the whole movie, I'm like, right, why is this nigga British?
Yeah, there was no reason, but it's like, this is fine, I guess. Like,
it was so funny. Yeah.
It was like, to me, I'm like, oh wait, is he British? And I'm like, after a second, I'm like, no, wait, he's not British.
No.
Wait, what are we doing?
Because Atlanta's like one of the only shows that doesn't have like a billion British people in it. So I knew he wasn't British. And then when they started, I was like, they could have very easily, because Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think a lot of people don't even realize he's English. They could have easily done the reverse, just made him American in this movie, or could have just had them both do their regular accents. But instead they went for the best possible option, which is having Brian Tyree Henry do one of the worst British accents I've ever heard. And it's amazing.
It took me like 3 seconds. I'm like, this, like, is he? And I'm like, oh wait, no, that accent's horrible. Oh wait, like, what the fuck is going on right now? But I mean, those 2 are the main characters of that film anyway. So They really just need to do a spin-off of like some prequel adventure for those two, and just like that.
Just bring it back to life. Let's bring
it back to say fuck it. Just say fuck it.
Bring it back to life. Let's do it.
How the fuck did Brad Pitt survive that? Like in the end, like that movie's insane.
Great, absolutely legendary. Should have been my number one movie of the year.
That was an honorable mention. I fucking forgot about Bullet Train. Bullet Train honorable mention. Yeah. Go check that out.
Yeah. We've talked about it a lot on this episode, to be honest.
We are strange.
All right, my
Jay,
number
what's your
two.
number two?
My
We're
number
almost
two,
there.
Which I think in a sense is tied for number one. I basically, up until the point of recording this podcast, was flipping back and forth these two movies. They're very different. I think equally good. I will revisit both of them ad nauseum to figure out exactly where I feel in the ranking systems. But when we get to this quality of film, I don't know if it super matters which one is slightly better than the other. And that is the Cate Blanchett vehicle by Todd Field, Tar. This movie is doing so many interesting things with one, character performance, because Cate Blanchett is just she's just allowed to cook, which is amazing. But also Field has like this fascination with the fall from grace that talking about The Good Boss earlier in the list. I think I love The Good Boss. I think Tar takes what that movie's doing to like an exponential level of difficulty, and I love for those of you who've seen the movie, you'll know the scene where she's in class talking to the black student, and you're watching it, and there's something I remember thinking. There's something in the back of my head going, something about this is weird, and I can't really put my finger on why I'm like having these odd emotions watching the scene. One, because Cate Blanchett is like able to like play the audience like a puppet, which I love, and then when the shoe drops on that scene later in the movie, you realize what was going on and like what all these characters are doing. I've only seen Tar at this point twice, and I need to watch Tar like 40 times to really understand everything that's going on. And I intend to do that, but I think there is a lot of stuff in this movie that at the moment is like escapes me. Like I don't super understand a lot of stuff that was happening with the like those few scenes of like kind of like a horror movie where she's struggling with like losing stuff, and it doesn't seem to come back. But other than like my sort of questions I have on this movie, and I don't think even the questions I have deteriorate from my enjoyment of it. I think Tar is like an absolutely incredible movie, and we will definitely, I'm telling you right now, we're going to be talking about this movie a lot because this movie is getting Oscar nominations out the ass. I think probably, I think almost guaranteed will win Cate Blanchett an Oscar. I would not be shocked if this is our Best Picture winner either. So keep your eye on that. If you're the betting man, I'd put your money on it now before it runs away with the odds. I if you haven't seen Tar, go fucking see Tar, man. We don't really make enough movies like this. Like this movie's so like fun and weird and makes you think a lot. And I said her name about 1,000 times, but she deserves it. Cate Blanchett's fucking great, man. She's fucking great in this movie. So that's my pitch on Tar, future Oscar winner.
That's another one on my list. Just cannot wait to go through your list of movies and just destroy myself emotionally.
Tar is not. It is not actually, other than literally the way, like the last scene of the movie, which is like a pretty sad ending for this character, is not nearly as emotionally distressing as a lot of the movies I've pitched so far. I will say that if you've been like sort of turned off by my rain of tears cinema that I've been pitching to you, I would say you can pretty safely watch Tar. All right, Corey, what's your number one? I think people who are listening, who are like fans of the podcast, who listen to our episode about this will not be surprised. But why don't you tell people, Corey, what your favorite movie of the year was?
My favorite movie of the year is probably one of my favorite movies of all time at this point, but Everything Everywhere All at Once just absolutely blew me away. Just went as a recommendation, went into a packed theater. When I was going to say this is the funniest thing I've seen all year, this was the funniest movie I've seen. But I got to say, this movie, like, one, destroyed me. I have not laughed that hard in a while. I've not just been astounded by two people's creativity. Fucking love a good kung fu flick. It was just everything I would want out of a movie. And then you added in Data from fucking The Goonies, and he actually gives one of my, like, delivers so hard in that movie. Yeah. It's just so much together at once. God fucking damn it. But, you know, it's it just felt like a lot in the best way possible. And it's hard to be like, this movie I think is beautiful, but at the same time, there's also many dildo scenes, and it's this juxtaposition of that where I'm like, this is gonna probably win something, but the fact that some of these scenes that exist in this movie exist is fantastic.
It's so funny to me that you can buy the butt plug trophy as a
Jesus
candle
Christ.
on A24. It's like A24 has some of the best merch of any TV studio or any movie studio, and the fact that they're selling that is both perfection and ridiculous. It's fantastic. I can see right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty sure Corey's looking for the butt plug candle as we speak.
I'm not. Definitely not. Store. But no, that's honestly, I think like I think remember the movie came out, I was just over the moon about it, and I was wondering if that high was ever going to drop off, and it has not. I really do love this movie.
I think for a lot of people, it's going to be Top Gun Maverick or Everything Everywhere All at Once, like the most fun going movie experience they had all year. And I'm not really sure what like number 3 would be, or even like number, like, I think there is something this movie was doing that is not like anything else. Like you were saying, it's just so weird and fun. And the Daniels have something really special. I can't wait for their next thing. I think those guys are really sick.
Trying to find that trying to find your gift, Chet. That's all.
Do not get me a butt plug candle. Thank you.
Okay.
Before Corey ships that to my
Alrighty
house,
then.
we're going to talk about my number 1, which is...
Okay, just... What's your address again?
Shut the fuck up. Is Banshees of Inisherin, the Martin McDonagh film, starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. And there is... And honestly, Barry Keogh. He is like he's like a pretty small role in the movie. He's not one of the stars, but as far as I'm concerned, he is like he's such a key to the emotion of this movie.
I didn't hear those to be a session.
Last minute thing. Colin decided. All the ladies love Colin, you know? Always did.
Yeah, that's not true.
You're still bad, Dominic. Out!
You said back until April.
Well, what do we know?
April.
Well, put that stick outside anyways, and don't be bothering the women.
There's women. There is women. And good ones.
Martin McDonagh is like he's got this like black comedy tone that I don't think anybody else is doing. The Banshees of Inisherin is so dark at times that it's hard to even remember it's a comedy. And then Colin Farrell will deliver like one of the funniest acted lines of the year, and you're like, oh right, I was laughing 5 minutes ago before all this psycho shit happened, and I got really sad and angry. This pair, obviously, this is like a return of the two that did In Bruges, together with McDonagh earlier, like almost 15 years ago at this point, I think, and their chemistry is unrivaled. I also love that this movie turns that on its head, and it's a movie about them hating each other, or more specifically, Brendan Gleeson hating Colin Farrell, where so much of what is great about In Bruges is it's like these two brutal hitmen whose job it is to murder people, and who we literally see kill a child. Spoiler alert, but again, it's over a decade old movie.
How fucking dare you? God damn it.
But in this movie, obviously, the plot is that whole thing is like turned on its head, and I love the meta nature of that too, because I think for a lot of people, In Bruges is one of those movies that if you ask somebody what's your favorite like movie that not enough people talk about, I think In Bruges is like the number one pick there. I'm surprised it doesn't have a bigger place in the culture, and I hope and wonder after Banshees does its run at the Oscars that it certainly will. I wonder if there will be an In Bruges revival as well. These two guys are just great, and also we were talking about The Northman and how like shooting in Iceland is a cheat. Shooting in Ireland is also a cheat. This movie looks incredible. It's the most beautiful McDonagh movie by any measure. And another one that if you're looking to laugh and cry and have a great time, I don't know how much else to pitch it to you, but I
mean that's pretty much how I felt about Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's like you want a good laugh and a good cry. Just
there's less. There's fewer butt plugs in this movie. I'm not saying there's none, okay? But there are fewer, and maybe that's why it didn't quite make the top of Cory's list.
That's honestly what it was. You really gotta up your quota there.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember leaving the theater watching this movie and being like feeling all of the emotions, like sad and happy and a bit angry, and because it is a quite at times really melancholy movie. But like I said, Colin Farrell has some of the best comedic timing in the business. And it's just like it's a real joy to watch. I still think the biggest fumble in maybe movie history is when they switched him out for Johnny Depp in the Fantastic Beasts trilogy or whatever it's going to end up being when it's all said and done. Yeah, I love this movie. Cory, should we quickly,
yes,
very quickly run down our top 10s, our final top 10 of the year? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all, of course, as usual, for sticking around with us. If you have been sticking around with us, also, if you are here, don't forget, subscribe, give us a rating. If you're on the YouTube channel, give us a like, a comment, tell us what we should do in the new year, and we'll obviously we'll be back pretty soon. But let's run down these lists really quick. Corey, you want to go first?
Sure thing, absolutely, Che. All right, my number 10 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. 9, The Menu. 8, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. 7, The Northman. 6, Nope. 5, Barbarian. 4, Top Gun Maverick. 3, The Batman. 2, Glass Onion. And 1, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And my 10 is 10, The Good Boss. 9, A Hero. 8, Petite Maman. 7, The Batman. 6, Triangles of Sadness. 5, Men. 4, a little bit of a cheat, The Lost Daughter. 3, The Worst Person in the World. 2, Tar. And number 1, The Banshees of Inisherin. Like I said, it's been a great fucking movie year. I really love talking about these movies. We will be back sooner rather than later. We got to figure it out when that will be, with a regular episode, back on the grind, talk about movies and TV and fucking comic books. There's a lot of good comic books coming this week. I just checked the list, so I'm excited. Anything else for the people, Cory?
Nothing else, guys, but thanks for listening with us. If you have been this year, it's always fun to do this podcast, and we hope you have been enjoying it. We hope you guys have a good year 2023. Should be better than last year. Who fucking knows, though? So, but let's hope for the best.
Let's hope for the best. Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. I've been Che.
I've been Cory.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Sweet Christmas.